Hello, everyone. I will admit to you real quick, I have the sniffles, so please do excuse any sniffling. This is a different sort of intro to the podfic than usual because of the way that the fic is laid out. I got permission from the author, who this time is not me. And this is actually my second time recording this because the first time I forgot to turn on the mic. I got through the whole thing, and then when I played it back to see how I did, it was like, why isn't there any sound? The mic wasn't on. But it's on now, so. Anyways, this is The Poisonous Feather, a My Hero Academia and DSMP crossover by Lana Fury on Wattpad. Read for you today by Princess Consta. The description is as follows. Welcoming death was something he was used to after all, but waking up in a whole-ass different universe was something new. Being surrounded by people who called themselves heroes with weird superpowers, Tommy is forced to adapt to the new life, not knowing if he will be able to return home. And when the opportunity comes, will he go back? Or will he change his mind and decide to stay with his new family and friends? After all, these are people who showed him what it really means to be loved. We start with the introduction. Introducing The Poisonous Feather, a crossover in which Tommy gets teleported to another universe and soon finds out some interesting things about himself. Or Tommy tries to pog through the pain and somehow manages to get adopting while deciding whether he should go back or stay. Meet our characters. My brother once called me a villain while he hurt me and destroyed our nation. You call yourself a villain? Even Wilbur's scarier than you. I will protect him, no matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes, and no matter who tries to hurt him. I will stay by his side, unlike those who call themselves his real family. He's younger than many of us, yet he's seen more than us. We need to help him and protect him from those who forced him to grow up and took away his childhood. We are safe here, and if someone comes for you, we will be there. You think you're stronger? To me, you're a great hero. Tommy was my light in the darkness. If it wasn't for him, I would still be in that deep hole where nothing good awaited me. I've seen many things in my life, but this kid is not one of them.
I will kill All Might and everyone in my way. I want to taste his blood.
I can always revive him. You are not a god. I am. And I will protect this kid and make sure that you will rot in this prison. You sick bastard! What have you done? I always saw him as my son. And one mistake won't change that. Never. Those who treat me with kindness, I will repay that kindness tenfold. And those that treat me with injustice, that use me, that hunt me down, that hurt my friends, I shall repay that injustice 1,000 times over. I need to find my best friend. Yeah. He saved me from Wilbur. Now it's my turn to save him. I never really saw myself as the sane one, as a matter of fact. Oh, I missed being alive. And others. Disclaimer. The author is not trying to sexualize Tommy or anyone in this book, and there is no ill intent towards anyone. Everything is platonic. While this is a crossover of Dream SMP and My Hero Academia, it is mainly focused on Tommy and his time in My Hero Academia. None of the characters included in this book belong to the author. They belong to Kohei Horikoshi on the My Hero Academia side of things, and on the Dream SMP side of things, they belong to their own creators, who I will not name everyone because that is too long of a list. Quick warning, this book contains blood, gore, mentions of trauma, child abuse, and death. If any of these things make you uncomfortable, please leave. Don't listen if you're sensitive. Be aware and stay safe. Alright. Here we go. Chapter 1. Is it the end? Being stuck in prison was one thing. Being stuck in prison with your worst enemy who abused and manipulated you for years was another. In that moment, you would wonder, why are you even there? Why are you stuck with him for God knows how long without any escape, food, or water, and the only thing keeping you sane is the sound of the crying obsidian. All 6 surfaces covered in it. Some mixed with normal black and dull blocks. It was terrible to say that, especially for him. The last thing Tommy wanted to do right now was stay in one room with Dream, especially after he killed him and took both of his lives and put him in the prison. He was sure that underneath the white mask, Dream was glaring at him with a psychopathic smile, thinking of a plan to kill the teen without making too much of a mess. Tommy could only sit with his back pressed against the cold walls, praying that someone would come and get him out of there. However, after what seemed like decades, Tommy lost all hope and just sat, mind empty, occasionally random thoughts passing through his head. His blue eyes flickered over to Dream, who laid on the ground, hands under his head. Mask was cracked slightly, his chest going up and down regularly. He wasn't dead yet. To be honest, Tommy would rather be alone and go insane than sit there with Dream. With a heavy sigh, Tommy stood up and stretched his body, satisfied with the soft crack. Dream's hand twitched, which didn't go unnoticed by Tommy, who was stealing a glance or two from time to time to make sure Dream wasn't planning anything. Tommy pulled out a fresh potato, which unfortunately wasn't baked, and since he had nothing else to eat, he began to munch on the small potato. The sweet taste filled his mouth, quickly disappearing into his stomach, but that didn't really fulfill his satisfaction, but at least he wasn't that hungry anymore. So, what do you do most of the days here? You just sit here and do completely nothing? Tommy asked, tilting his head to the side. Dream looked up at him slowly before his head fell back to the hard ground. I'm thinking, Tommy. Something you could never do, Dream said, mocking him. He watched as the teen's smile faded away a little, but he quickly shook his head and the smile reappeared. Didn't think you could do that, Tommy said, watching as the older groaned in annoyance. What could you possibly be thinking about? Escape, perhaps? Dream looked at him, the mask covering his face. Tommy's shoulders tensed, his teeth clenching hard. After 5 minutes of just staring, Dream looked away to stare at the ceiling. Well, yeah, I'm not gonna stay here forever. Sooner or later the time will come and I will leave, whether you like it or not. Dream said, Tommy taking a step back with hesitation. But before that, why don't we play a game? Tommy realized what Dream meant. Dream was already sitting straight on the ground. The motionless eyes of the mask were staring intensely at him, like a cat, watching its prey. Tommy took a step back with hesitation, before standing tall and trying to look bigger than he was, but the trembling in his voice didn't help. What game are you talking about? I don't think you have cards. Oh, Tommy, you know what game, Dream said, mask lifting a little when he smiled. The one we used to play in exile, remember? Where you keep your mouth shut, and if you don't obey, there's a punishment. It was fun, you know. Tommy's breath quickened a little, his hands trembling. No. I'm not playing any stupid games, especially not with you, not the fucking exile games, Tommy said, eyes not leaving Dream's figure for even a second. Why not? It was pretty fun to watch you choke on your own blood, begging and pleading me to stop. I had so much fun with you. What happened next? You left and we stopped playing. Dream's voice was filled with sadness, but Tommy knew damn well it wasn't real. You fucking tortured me. You knew I wouldn't be able to stay silent for too long. You used me as your toy to play with. Tommy spat out, trying to control his emotions so he wouldn't lash out. Dream sighed, hand resting inches above his heart. He looked at Tommy in sadness, trying to get him to apologize. However, Tommy was done with his shit. He wasn't going to get manipulated again. Oh, you're hurting me with your words, Tommy. Do you dislike me that much? Tommy scoffed at his words, knowing damn well what Dream was doing, but as much as he tried, he couldn't keep himself in check. Dislike you? I fucking hate you. I hate you, your stupid mask, and that voice of yours. For me, it would have been better if you never existed, Tommy shouted, arms flying into the air. Dream stood in one place for a moment before taking a step to Tommy. Tommy's eyes widened as he took 2 steps back. Dream was getting closer, keeping the distance between them short, and quickly making it smaller. When Tommy's back was met with a cold wall, tears started pricking at his eyes, threatening to fall at any moment. He let out shaky breaths, arms wrapping around his body in a protective manner. Suddenly, Dream stopped, 2 feet away from him, his hands curled into fists so tight that his knuckles turned white and veins popped out of his hands. Tommy flinched visibly, eyes closing tightly as he backed up to the wall even more. Dream's voice was hard, filled with anger, but at the same time, calm. That's what he used to do with Tommy, making his voice sound so innocent and kind. He forced Tommy to trust him with his whole life, making it a living hell and something he wanted to end many times before. The manipulation was dripping from his voice, the tension in the room growing overwhelming for Tommy. With one swift move, the mask was gone, and instead of the black dots, a pair of deep green eyes were staring into Tommy's, burning holes through his skull and leaving a burning pain in his mind. Show me your wings, Dream said, voice sounding even more dangerous. Tommy's eyes widened, head shooting forward to look at Dream in shock. Slowly the fear began to take over, and he felt himself turning smaller under the hard gaze. What? I don't think I understood. Dream hit the wall with his hand harshly, blood dripping down slowly. The hit was sent inches away from Tommy's head, and he knew that it would be deadly for him. The fear in his eyes was visible now, very clearly, only making Dream go further as he became crazier. Show me your wings. Now! He pressed harder, slowly growing impatient. Dream, please. I said now! Tommy hesitated only to feel something sharp hit him in the face. His hand held onto his cheek, feeling the wet and sticky liquid falling down his face and on his neck. His eyes widened, realizing it was blood. He looked at Dream, shocked, looking for any emotions or reactions that would tell him what was going to happen next. What did I tell you, Tommy? You obey and we don't have problems, but if you disobey, you have to be punished. It's only fair that way, don't you think? Dream's green eyes were burning into Tommy's, forcing a choked sob to leave his throat. Please, I didn't mean to, Tommy said, hand still holding his cheek. Not even a second after he said that, his body was thrown harshly on the ground, head hitting the obsidian with no mercy. His vision blurred a little, black dots taking over as he blacked out for a second. Then he felt a paralyzing pain shoot through his entire body, stopping at his chest when suddenly he couldn't breathe. Fortunately, after choking for 10 seconds, he slowly regained his senses. When the dots disappeared, he saw Dream leaning over him with a sickening smile from ear to ear. Let's have some fun, Seconds later, he felt his hands being crushed, legs broken in so many places that he wasn't able to count. A loud scream left his throat, leaving his throat sore and painful. His head felt like someone was stabbing him over and over again with small needles. Stomach burned by something familiar to hot iron. Another scream left his throat, this time much longer and louder. He felt Dream kick him in the stomach, breaking many ribs and leaving him in even more pain. blood staining the ground under his lifeless body, burning pain blooming like flowers under his skin. "It'll be all right. I promise. You'll be back soon." Then he felt Dream pick up his head and smash it against the floor. Blood splashing everywhere. He couldn't even feel the pain in his head since it was already too much, and when he was about to black out for the last time, he heard screaming and loud footsteps. With the rest of his strength, he moved his head to the side so he could see what was happening. Sam ran inside the cell, looking around quickly before putting everything together. Not wasting any time, he ripped Dream away from Tommy, handcuffing him and throwing him to the ground. He punched him in the face, successfully breaking his nose before he rushed over to Tommy. "Tommy, hey, stay with me," he said, putting white cloth around Tommy's head, which immediately turned a dark red. "Damn it!" Tommy felt himself slipping away, feeling nothing but the soft touch of Sam's hands around his head. "I'm sorry," he whispered, letting his eyes close. "Tommy? Tommy!" Sam yelled, shaking the teen softly. "Wake up, damn it! Don't you dare leave me right now!" But Tommy didn't respond, his body falling limp in Sam's hands. "Come on, don't do this to me. I promise to keep you safe with my life. You can't give up. Not now." Sam's words fell death. No one answering him. The silence took over the dark room with only soft sounds of water dripping and the crying obsidian. Sam's eyes widened, heart beating faster than was humanly possible. When he heard Dream cackling behind him, his head turned sharply to the side, eyes burning red-green veins pulsing all over his body. The mask that covered the upper half of his face fell down, showing a full set of sharp teeth, loud hisses and growls filling the cell. "You better pray that the book is working, or there will be nothing left but mere pieces of your body," Sam said, watching his Dream shifted uncomfortably, gulping. Meanwhile, Tommy's body slowly turned to dust, leaving nothing but stains of blood on Sam's hands as he tried to keep the tears from falling. Wherever Tommy was at this moment, he was sure he was safer there than he was here. He could only hope that the boy would forgive him. While Tommy felt the pain leave his body, he suddenly felt a strong wind pick up around him in the coldness of the outside world. A couple seconds later, the feeling disappeared, and he was left in the darkness of death. And that was chapter 1. So I waited a while for the response from the author to give me the go-ahead. Just wanting to play it safe and all, you know? Also, during this second bout of recording, you may have noticed a notification popping up saying my screen recording was saved. That's because I had to pause the screen recording because the sound effects I was doing, or trying to do, I don't know how successful they were, worried my sister, and she came knocking on my door to see if everything was okay. Anyways, shout out to the author Lana Furry and another reader with the username on Wattpad of Ether Rahia, who both wanted a link to the finished product. So I will stitch the two clips together and post it on YouTube, and then, like as usual, and then as an extra bit, I will send the link in the conversation thread, which I'm sure you will have concluded has already happened by the time you see this, because, well, that's probably where you're going to be getting the link to this. Anyways, that's all for me. Take care of yourselves. Have a good day, or night, or whatever. Stay happy and healthy. I'll see you next time. Bye.